This video is sponsored by Squarespace. You can make your own beautiful website or online store with this all-in-one platform. Hi everyone, in this video I am drawing a bunch of fish in my sketchbook with watercolor and a black brush pen and pencil crayon and wax pastels. I am doing a lot of fish art this month because for some reason I decided that July would be the month for fish. I actually really like fish. I think they're just really neat creatures. I just find them really cute because they're just like, I don't know how to explain it. I just find fish really cute, and I wanted to draw a bunch of different fish in my style, sort of like mixed with a bit of realism but with a bit of stylization as well, because obviously these are not that realistic, but I tried to base them off of real fish, and let me know if you can tell which fish I used for a reference. A couple of them are not exactly based off of a real fish, but a lot of them are. Most of them are, especially when I get to the colors, you might be able to tell what kind of fish they are. I tried to do mostly freshwater fish, but I don't think there's any saltwater ones here. I think they're all freshwater. I really love the well, actually one of them might be saltwater, but most of them are freshwater, I'm pretty sure. I love freshwater fish because they have more muted colors than saltwater ones. It just kind of seems like they're a little bit more natural looking, and saltwater fish and ocean fish are so colorful and beautiful, but there's something very natural about freshwater fish. I actually have a pet fish. I have a betta fish, and I just find them so cute, and I have it in a nice big tank, a 10-gallon tank. Betta fish should not be kept in tiny cups. That is a misconception, and that is not humane at all. They need a big tank and lots of plants and stuff like that. And I like my little fish. His name is Pancakes. And I just find fish really cute. So I wanted to draw them for July for the Patreon package. So this will be the sketchbook print for July. And the print itself, I'm still working on, but it is a bunch of fish underwater, a little underwater landscape. I was looking at a bunch of photos of underwater riverbeds and all the plants underwater, and I sort of based it off of a lot of those photos of little fish swimming around underwater. And I find drawing water very relaxing, very fun, and I do a lot of landscapes on land, but not a lot of underwater scenes. And I think the last underwater thing I did was the whale shark painting, but that one is just purely blue. The one I'm doing for this month is more natural looking. It's well, not natural. It has more plants and foliage, underwater foliage, rocks. You can see the ground. It's been really fun, and I'm very excited to finish it and show you. And the sticker will be a fish as well. I don't really know exactly what I'm gonna do. Maybe a little fish with a backpack, or a fish with all his gear on an adventure. Who knows? I just think fish are so cute. I have so much empathy for fish. Whenever I see them, whenever I see a show where there's a fish being cooked and you can see the entire fish, or a market that sells fish and it's just you can see buckets of fish, I just feel bad for them. And not only do I just like fish in the wild, in nature, I really like drawing them. There's something so fun about drawing fish and looking up different species and seeing how their fins look. And they're just very graceful, derpy creatures. I really like them. And there's so many different colors, and doing this in watercolor was so much fun because I just think it's really fitting to draw fish with watercolor because they live in the water, and watercolor just represents that fluidity really nicely. And my favorite way to work with watercolor is to not rush it. And as you're dropping down colors, you want to be mixing other hues and dropping it down with the original color. So as you're going, you're adding down multiple different colors in the same sort of wash. You can see it best in the salmon that I did, the sockeye salmon. There's oranges, reds, pinks, purples, and I think it adds a lot of dimension, especially on the first layer. And then once your first layer dries, you can go in and do details. And don't be afraid to do dark colors and to leave white areas. I think that also lends itself really nicely with watercolor. A few of these I got a little bit scared and I ended up muddying the colors because I just could not pick a color. I couldn't choose, especially on the fish that are like grayish, because like gray looking fish, they're not really gray. They're sort of like pearlescent. I don't know how to explain it. They are very reflective, metallic looking, and they have a lot of different colors reflecting off of their scales. So they're gray, but they're also like multicolored. And that's sort of what happened with that like grayish orange fish that you can see that looks a little bit muddy and not quite good. I ended up having to paint that one over and he looks blue now, but that's fine. I don't really know what fish that one is because it started off based off a real fish, and as I colored it, it wasn't going to plan and I had to change it. But it's really hard to paint like reflective, metallic looking gray fish. The colorful fish I find a little bit easier. It's hard to like see the different colors that make up the whole fish. And instead you just see the entire fish and you're like, that's gray, and you put gray down. It's like, that doesn't look like it at all. But if you can like separate the colors in your mind and see like, okay, there's like a little bit of orange here, there's like a dark shadow there, it's a little bit bluish over there, it actually ends up looking more realistic, even though it can seem counterintuitive at first, because you're like, why would I put blue here when the fish is clearly gray? It's very challenging, but I learned a lot, and I still want to sort of like practice painting these types of things. Like I almost want to fill the whole other page with more fish. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Maybe if I did that, that could be the entire sketchbook page, but I don't know if I have it in me. Now to thank this video's sponsor, which is Squarespace. You probably know by now, but Squarespace is a great website builder. You can use your website for whatever you want, whether it be a blog, a portfolio, an online store. And a great way to get started is to look through all of their beautiful templates, and you can choose one as a starting point and then customize the colors, the fonts, add tons of different elements to your website to make it fit your brand. I mainly use my website to host my portfolio, and it's really easy to add a portfolio to your site by using their portfolios and galleries feature. You just upload all of your artwork, drag and drop them to find the best order to display your art, and the automatic image scaling takes care of displaying them all beside each other. You can also link off to all of your different social media sites, and Squarespace will automatically add whatever the icon is so people can easily find the site that they want to reach you on. If you'd like to try out Squarespace for yourself, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/JelArts to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. I also painted an Oscar at the bottom. It's sort of cropped. And I could not decide if I wanted to outline these with black brush pen because I sort of see that as the easy way out. But I was sort of in the mood to do that on this day. Sometimes I like to spend a little bit more time and use some pencil crayon to do the lines instead, and it can end up looking a little bit more interesting that way because you're adding more color and you're varying the line color as you go and like shading and adding detail with pencil crayon. And I did use some pencil crayon in this one, but sometimes pencil crayon can just really hurt my hand, and I wasn't really feeling like dealing with that on this day. So I decided to use my Tombow brush pens eventually to add details and lines and shading to the fish, basically just to bring out the shape of the fish. And in the end, I ended up using some white gouache to add little highlights here and there because some of them got a little too muddy. The coloring kind of got away from me on some of them. I don't know if that was because I was rushing or because I haven't really like drawn these specific types of fish before, but I had a lot of fun with this page. It was a lot of fun to draw all these little fish. And if you're interested in the brush pen that I use, I always get questions on it. I always have it linked in my Amazon storefront along with most of the materials that I use regularly. So if you ever want to know what I use, it will be there. So check that out. It's by Tombow, the brush pens. I just don't know how to pronounce the full name because it's hard to pronounce for me. I think my favorite fish on this page, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure my favorite fish is the little, like, is it a goby? The little guy underneath the salmon. I think he's really cute, and I just really like the way I did the lines. I think I did the perfect amount of detail and, like, simplifying for him. A while ago, I did the mermaid challenge, which is where you draw mermaids every day in the month of May, and I actually did one every day. Well, no, did I? I think I did 21 instead of 31. I based all of my mermaids off of freshwater fish, like different freshwater fish, and a lot of them on like fish that I've seen in aquarium stores and fish that I've kept in like sea creatures, not sea, like shrimp and stuff, because I have pet shrimp. I did like some shrimp mermaids. And those were so much fun. I should do more art like that. Whenever I did that mermaid challenge, I found myself getting a lot better at drawing torsos, but then I'd forget how to draw legs because all the legs would just be like fishtails. And it's just a lot of fun to like incorporate different parts of each type of fish species into the human anatomy and decide like where I would add fins and where I would add the gills and like the different colorations on the skin and like making the scales sort of look like clothing, but like a skin tight sort of clothing. I actually had a print book of all of these different mermaids, but I sold them out now. Don't think I have any more because they were available for a really long time and books are expensive to make. It's a lot of money to get books printed. It was just like a short little zine art book. But it was a fun project, and I just really like drawing fish. I remember I used to draw them in a really weird way. Like I would make their face like super round, and they were like a cartoonized version of fish. But as I've been looking at more reference photos, I'm finding ways to make them look a little bit more true to how fish actually look, while still keeping a sort of like cute, stylized approach to them, which was a lot of fun. And I ended up doing a little guppy. I don't know if that is a naturally occurring species, like the fancy guppies. But guppies are one of my favorite freshwater fish because I just think they're really cute. Their nature is like, they're very like docile and like derpy. They sort of like pay attention to you and they're not like, I feel like there's two types of pet fish. The ones that are like, they're almost like puppies, the way they like look at you and like swim around and like, they're like slower moving. And then there's the pet fish that are more like wild fish and they like dart around and school and like swim together in groups and behave like a wild fish. But then there's like betta fish and guppies and like other ones that sort of like act like a puppy. And I like those guys a lot. I felt myself getting sort of like, oh, why am I like making these so like messy looking? But I was like, this is my sketchbook. This is literally a sketchbook page. It's for the sketchbook page print for Patreon. It's okay if it's messy. It's just a sketch. Like, it's not supposed to be a finished piece of art. It's just supposed to be fun and like a nice little, I think it's one of my most planned out sketchbook pages because it's literally just like a bunch of fish on the same page. Whereas my other sketchbook pages have just been like random doodles and drawings, which is also cool. But it was fun to do something more structured. Sometimes that's almost easier than like drawing and seeing what happens. I just started drawing fish one night and I was like, okay, I think I want to do this for the July page and I will stop drawing them and I'll continue drawing them tomorrow when I actually film. Sometimes it's like it's easier to start the page the night before. I know I have to film. And then when I actually go to film, I can continue it. And then it's like I have a starting point to work from and it makes it a little bit less intimidating to keep filming and to keep working on the page. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It was so much fun drawing all these little fish. I just want to draw more. Like, I think I'm going to be really into drawing fish for the next like couple weeks. I don't know. They're just a lot of fun. They're so cute. I love fish. Let me know what your favorite fish species is, what your favorite sea creature is. I think I asked that on Instagram a while ago, and I was reading through your responses on that. So I really hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in my next video.